Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Inshallah ta'ala, everybody in the best state of Iman. Trying to stay focused in this deen, preparing for Ramadan, and just trying to be a better Muslim or Muslimah. Fi sabilillah. So today we're going to discuss Shaytan and the tricks of Shaytan. And one thing about Shaytan, Allah Azza wa Jal makes it extremely clear that Shaytan is an open, plain enemy to us. Shaytan don't hide that he's our enemy, right? Shaytan make it clear that he's our enemy. And Allah Azza wa Jal makes it clear that Shaytan is an enemy to us. But Shaytan is a befriending enemy. Shaytan is a smiling face, a backstabber. Because Shaytan, when you look at Quran and Sunnah, you'll see when you end up in that predicament in the hellfire, or if you end up in a bad predicament in this life. See, it also applies to this life as well, where you will hear where Shaytan says, I didn't make you do anything. I just whispered and you obeyed. You know what I'm saying? You the one who did those actions. And then Shaytan laughs at you. Shaytan has soldiers, but you didn't do the things Islamically to prepare yourself for such an enemy. So education is a must. And one thing that you have to do is what? Study that enemy. Not put a whole bunch of detailed physical studies in it. You counteract that, right? Where you're not on defense all the time. Because we're going to touch a couple of Quran ayats that shows studying your deen and implementing it to the full capacity guards you against Shaytan and his tactics. And we're going to prove this with Quran al-Kareem. But you need to know what's to Shaytan. So let's say, look at today's time. You have people who in the city, in Chicago, in Illinois, and it's starting to become a real popular term. They have a term called the back door, right? So in hadiths, see this is, I'm once not making it about gang culture, but when you understand gang literature and how Islam is mixed in it, you have where they refer to do not enter houses through their back doors, right? Do not enter homes through the back doors, which I'll probably get more in depth than that. But this is from hadiths. So you're supposed to enter homes through the front door. So like back in the day, right, because where we are, the gang culture and the Nation of Islam, how it was sprinkled throughout our literature, they used to have this saying that they brought Islam through the back door. You know what I'm saying? You came into the house. You're in the house, but you just got in it the wrong way. You came to Islam the wrong way. Going through the back doors is the wrong way. So this elevated to what they refer to as a terminology called backdooring a person. This is somebody who you think is your friend, somebody you think is your girlfriend or your boyfriend, maybe even your spouse, and they're going to walk you through that back door so that something can happen to you. They finna take you into the house the wrong way. So I'm just showing where this term, the back door, started from Islamic terminology. So this back door, we finna set you up type of a thing. So this is how I'm saying is, this is where the individuals is being a smiling face, but stabbing you in the back. When you know somebody is your open enemy, and you know they mean you no good, then you're not going to let them get close to you. But why do we let Shaytan get that close to us? Because we feel like Shaytan is part of the gharib, the unseen. We can't see Shaytan, just like we can't see the wind, but we can see and feel the effects of it. Shaytan ultimate goal is to backdoor you, to set you up and keep you from worshiping Allah properly, sincerely, and worshiping Allah Azza wa Jal alone without any partners. Right? So what we're going to do is use some Quran ayats with a little bit of tafsirs and some definitions from the English dictionary, so that y'all, to try to bring this understanding together so that you can pay more attention to Shaytan, just like you would pay attention to somebody who's an enemy that really wants to harm you. Like, you might have an enemy, y'all work together, but they made their objective is they want you to be fired. And if you know that this is somebody who want to get you fired, possibly for the color of your skin, because of your gender, you might be a woman, they might not want you in that position. And some of the different things why people try to get fired, they may feel like if they could get you fired, they could get a friend hired, or they could get your position. But you notice you're going to deal with them in a manner like, you want me fired. So they could be an enemy in that way. You have to learn how to deal with Shaytan the exact same way, because Shaytan is extremely tricky, especially when you disobedient to Allah Azza wa Jal. So it has to start with Shaytan getting you to be disobedient. Why is this? Because once you start to be disobedient to Allah Azza wa Jal, the door opens up where Allah just might allow just about anything to happen to you. You see what I'm saying? That's the part that we don't take account, that once we start to move in a certain type of way, the door is open for anything to happen to us. And losing your Jannah is the worst, because you could take your worst day on earth. And all of us have had a bad day. All of us have had the worst feeling and been through the worst things that we've felt on earth. Some of us done almost died. Some of us could have been on our deathbed, and Allah chose to allow us to live, like been in comas, losing loved ones. Think of your very worst day, worst experience on this earth, even if it lasts for a year or two. The hellfire gonna be 1,000,000 times worse than your worst day. So losing your Jannah is the worst thing that can happen to you. See, we fear losing our job because we don't want to. We worried about all the money that we waste, losing the money that we waste, losing these materialistic things that we have that make us better than the ones that don't have, the have-nots, the flossing, the things that make us who we are, our jobs, our legal money. See, we fear losing those things. We fear losing friends. We fear losing relationships, but we don't fear losing our Jannah. But see, the bad thing is sometimes when you chasing Jannah, those things that you clinging on to, you might lose some of those associates. Why? Because y'all on two different paths. It may be your spouse. It may be your family. But, so let's get to it. Naki. So what I like to do is, I like to pick 2 or 3 ayats, when it's possible, that discuss the same thing so that it's stamped. We know we can't play about this. We know this is something that we have to take serious. Right? So, Surah number 15, ayat number 39. Shaytan says, and y'all should go look at this because what he says that's leading up to what he said, all of this is important. But because of time and this discussion, I'm just taking certain parts from the ayats, right? So Shaitan says, because you misled me. This is what he says to Allah. I shall adorn the path of error for them on earth, and I shall mislead them except your guided slaves. Except for the ones that's on your guidance. And that's where the part where I'm talking about the offense. Studying and learning your deen to a point where you up on what Allah wants you to be up on correctly, that's a safety from Shaitan within itself. Because he even said, I shall mislead them. Right? And the only ones I'm not going to be able to mislead is the ones that you guide. See? Adding the ayat to that, Allah says, those who Allah allows to be misguided, nobody can guide them. And those who are guided, nobody will be able to misguide them. Not even Shaitan. So, like how they do with tafsirs, that's using a Quran ayat to prove the validity of another Quran ayat. Now, for the sake of time, I'm not going to go into some hadiths to add to that, because the Quran ayat is enough. If you're up on the guidance of Allah Azza wa Jal, and I'm going to give y'all another Quran ayat, right? If you up on the guidance of Allah Azza wa Jal, nobody can misguide you, not even Shaitan. Not even Shaitan. And Daki. Okay. So it was another Quran ayat I was gonna quote, but it slipped my mind. But it was also tied to the guidance. But inshallah it'll pop in my head before I'm finished, right? And it was just basically about when you on the guidance of Allah. So what leads to us being guided by Allah? You got to do what's in accordance with what Allah wants you to do legally. What's going to be accepted. It got to be done with what we put as to get your deeds accepted. Intention, sincerity, and it got to be done in accordance with the Quran and Sunnah. Right? So that's your thing. So you want to keep that intact, because like I said, once you start to be disobedient to Allah Azza wa Jal, that door can be opened up for His punishment for anything that happened to you, including being misguided and being misled by Shaitan. And Shaitan even saying he know he's not even going to be able to mislead those who is guided by Allah. So Shaitan says he's going to adorn the path of error, the path of mistakes, the things that's going to make you fall off. Another Quran ayat, Allah Azza wa Jal basically says that people who practice Islam a certain type of way, when that thing come down on them, they're going to choose error as a way of guidance. They're going to choose error over guidance, but they're going to think they've chosen the right path. So that the mistakes and the errors that they're doing, they're going to think that that's right and correct. But this is one of the punishments from Allah Azza wa Jal, that they're going to be incorrect and think they're right because Allah knows what's to them. They disobeying Allah. They trying to trick the believers, and they think that they deceiving Allah. But Allah truly knows best. So adorn, of course, means make more beautiful or attractive. So Shaytan, the path of error, mistakes, misguidance, Shaytan is going to make it more beautiful and more attractive to you. So what would that look like Islamically? Right? We in gangs and we fighting and killing each other. But Shaytan going to make that way even more beautiful for us by us accepting Islam and continuing to be that. And now you go from Muslims who's on the deen, staying away from gang banging, right, to choosing gang banging because it's the new Muslim cool. And everything else, when it comes to the drinking, when it comes to the fornicating, having a boyfriends, having a girlfriends, trying to cling to some form of a nationality. You understand? These is the way that Shaytan beautifies the path of error and the misguidance. And then some people will become an imam in some way, shape, or form, or the spiritual leader of a masjid or a community, and they actually call people to that. You understand? This goes against the deen of Islam. When you understand this, you can see Shaytan through all of this. So, surah number 4, ayat number 114. But before I go on, I had that I'm going to read ayat 41 through 44 in surah 15. I left a note for that for a reason. So let's just read that real quick to show the benefits of it. Alhamdulillah, inshallah ta'ala. So when it comes to, we read 39. So 39 and 40, right? So 41 says, Allah said, this is this way which leads straight to me, right? Whereas hadha sirato ala mustaqim. So this is the way that leads straight to me. So this is referring to sirato mustaqim. Except for the chosen guided slaves among you, they're on the way that leads to Allah. Hadha sirato ala mustaqim, right? This is the way, this is the straight way that leads to me. This is the path. When we recite our Fatiha, we making dua in our Fatiha for Allah to keep us on that path, Sirat al-Mustaqim. So stand on Sirat al-Mustaqim, the path that leads to Allah. Shaytan can't attack you on that path. So his ultimate goal is to what? Start to get you to be disobedient and step off of that path. How is he going to do that? He's going to make the path that take you off Sirat al-Mustaqim look more beautiful and more attractive than the path to Islam. The path that leads to Allah, he's going to make that path look more beautiful. And a lot of us going to take the bait. Why are we who gonna take the bait? The ones that's truly not up on Allah's guidance. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes, that's 41, 42. So Allah says, certainly you shall have no authority over my slaves except for those who follow you of the Ghawun, those who are deviants, those who go astray, criminals, mushriks, polytheists, and the zalims, the evildoers, the wrongdoers. Them the only ones you're going to have authority over. Them the only ones you're going to be able to trick and dupe. We got to stay on Sirat al-Mustaqim. Because once you fall into that disobedience, once you fall into that shirk, once you deviate and go astray, the door, you fair game for Shaytan. And Shaytan is an open enemy to you. You have to treat him like the person who want to harm you and take your Jannah away. Or the person who want to harm you and take your life or take your job or take your spouse. Whatever it is that they want to see you lose in this life. See, we protect that more than we protect our deen and Jannah. Right? 43. And surely hell is a destined place for all of y'all. Right? For Shaytan and whoever follows him. And then it says, 44, it has 7 gates. To each, a group of them is designated. So each gate is dependent on which forms of sin you fell into. That's the gate you're going to enter. We got to treat Shaytan like an enemy. Right? So continuing on. Surah number 4. Ayat number 119. Verily, I will mislead them by arousing in them false desires. That's crazy. Verily, I will mislead them by arousing in them false desires. False desires, and I like to pull up a definition so that people can understand it better, is a goal or aspirations that isn't in line with a person's true values as a Muslim. Striving to be a mu'min, striving to be a Muslim, one that's chasing and trying to obtain Jannah. This is our true values. So some of the things that we chasing and aspire to have, it isn't in line with what our true values is, and our true values is in Islam. In following Quran and Sunnah with the understanding of the people that learned it directly from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam directly. Or their values, or that doesn't lead to genuine happiness. You know how many people chase a goal, they put their deen on the back burner, they chase a goal, they chase aspirations, they chase money, they chase this member of the opposite sex, and then when they get it, when they achieve it, they still genuinely not happy. Some of the things that make them happy about it is that other people may be jealous of them for having it, or they think other people who don't even care nothing about their life impressed with these goals that they accomplish. But they disobeyed Allah. They put the deen of Islam on the back burner. They chase these things that don't even align with our true values as Muslims. And it doesn't even lead to genuine happiness. These is the things that Shaytan is going to arouse in the people. False desires. And desires can, like I said, you could tie a lot of things to the desires. You have sexual desires. You have people who have low self-esteem, and what makes them have high self-esteem. Like you could take a woman She might be cute, but she got to be more attractive than this one. She got to be more attractive than that one. So she goes and mutilate her body, which mutilation in the deen of Islam is haram. So she might get a fake butt. She might get fake breasts. She might get false hair all down her back. She might get false eyelashes that's this thick out to this far. She might throw makeup all over her face. She might get lip injections. She might get earrings from here all the way to here. She might get earrings in her cheeks, earrings in her nose, earrings all through her lips. Trying to beautify herself. I just seen a video of a woman. Her whole entire face was tattooed up. African American woman. Except for like forehead, cheeks, just this little area like right up under her eyes and around here, and weave all down her back, face, body parts, all type of earrings all in her cheeks and face, trying to be a rapper. Anybody who thinks Shaytan didn't arouse in her some false desires, and when she go home and she didn't achieve those friends that she wanted, I guarantee you that woman, some nights she laying in her bed crying to her pillow. She crying on her pillow. Know what I'm saying? You know that woman looking at, and if you take all that, you take all that away, she probably was a beautiful woman. But Shaytan aroused something in her that made her start chasing even more. It's this Muslim sister called Niqabi Muslim podcast or something. So she has Muslim women who strippers and rappers and scammers and them went through the rigmarole, and she has them on her podcast with earrings, no type of covering, breast out, arms, tattoos all out. And then she had a Nation of Islam hijab thing that just, it cover up her hair, then it's like a long tail thing that come like down to here. So neck and all that out, earrings and all this out, but it's called the Niqabi or Covered Girls Podcast or something like that. I only looked at some snippets of a couple of episodes, because when I watch so much stuff, it just came through my algorithm for Muslim type of topics. So all type of stuff pop up on my algorithm. And I'm sitting down saying, you know, and it's that come as you are, cool, alhamdulillah, yeah. And I want to make that clear. Yeah, Muslim, you're not supposed to push them away or shun them as they come that way, because they are new. But you're not supposed to encourage them to just stay that way for the rest of their deen and then say stuff like, no, the way you doing it, that's black Islam. Like I said, African American Muslims see that, knowing they go against the deen of Islam, except for you have to keep in mind, it was a particular group of Muslims, right? When they in the Nation of Islam, these is covered women. Then, because you have a disdain towards your father and say, we leaving the Nation of Islam, we finna change the name of the group to Al-Islam, and then say the women don't have to be covered. Or the women only have to be covered when they in the temples. Why? Because a lot of the Nation of Islam women, when was they covered? You got to keep in mind, I knew some. You see them in the grocery store, you wouldn't know it. But when they was going to temple, when they was going to Savior's Day, they be covered up. They brought that right on into the deen, when that goes against the Quran and Sunnah. But it falls in line with the desires of being what? A black American. And now it done led to women not covering, looking however they want to, and it's fine. But when they do cover, and especially if they cover properly, whether they cover their face or not, what is it? That's Arab stuff. You trying to practice Islam like an Arab. All of these things fall in line with Shaytan. So, and like I said, a lot of that stuff, it don't even lead to genuine happiness. All these women with fake butts, fake breasts, they done did all of this. Got fake butts, fake breasts, fake eyelashes, makeup, hair all down their back, and it still didn't make men stay. Now they unhappy, and all you hear is them do is bash men all day on the internet. Man, it's garbage. They little boys. They play video games. They want 50-50. Even a man ain't even never came to them and said nothing about no 50-50. But they making video. I never go 50-50. This, and this. You ain't even got no men trying to go 50-50 with you. But all this anger because all this stuff you did and got all these degrees and got all these goals and now you all this and that. Now men horrible because it didn't make none of them stay. Or the ones who did stay was the type of men that you didn't even want in the first place. Who, even if you lose all that, they still gonna be there. It don't lead to genuine happiness. Now, it also say wants or cravings that may be based on misperceptions, illusions, or societal pressures rather than genuine needs or aspirations. That societal pressures, you may have a white person who, based off of what they're taught about society, they groomed to hate black people. Now they become Muslim and they still have a little bit of that in them. You may have some people, because of societal pressures, accepted some type of Islamic group where they was groomed to hate white people. And then they accept the real Islam, and now they still got a little bit of that in them. They still, in our communities, we groomed at some point to join some type of clique, some type of form of a gang. And then when you see us in the masjids, we click up. Brothers and sisters. These sisters, we wear all black, they don't. We clicked up. Because of the societal pressures, this is what you have to do. Instead of the genuine needs and aspirations, which is in line with the true value of us as Muslim communities, is to what? Stick together, build together, and make sure that everybody is straight. That's what Zakat and Sadaqah is for, to make sure that all the Muslims is straight. We don't have that. Why is that though? Because the misleading from that wicked, rejected, nasty, filthy, stinking one named Iblis, Shaytan, right? There's an old documentary. It was called Muslim New Cool, about these Puerto Rican guys from Massachusetts. And that's why, see, y'all gotta understand, man. I became Muslim as a little kid, so I was Muslim in the 90s. Okay, so I seen a lot of the transitions. This came out in like 2009. So like I seen a lot of building and I seen a lot of the growth of masjids establishing, white people coming to Islam, foreigners coming over here. Like I remember a time when there wasn't no Muslim foreigners in Illinois like the way that they are now. So seeing them come and watch how they established and how they built and got all the grocery stores, the little corner stores and chicken spots, I remember when it was none of that. So when the Muslim New Cool, it's a Puerto Rican guy, him and some other Puerto Ricans. Now he was a Muslim rapper. I'm going to be honest about this. Because of the racism and the way things was in Massachusetts, like 52 of them just in a little area, based off of them and their dawah and the way they carried themselves, they all started becoming Muslim. So it's these Puerto Ricans and some black people. They all got together, moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where they don't know nobody, moved to a whole new city. This documentary is on YouTube now, and I'm gonna get to that part. So they moved to Pittsburgh and established a whole community. They got an apartment. They started the masjid in the apartment. And then they started to marry. Like I said, dude was a Muslim rapper though, and he was still from the street. He was a gang member. They was fairly new to the deen. So because the documentary, they even put it on PBS, right? They even had some of the Ahmadiyans from Chicago, the Ahmadiyyan community. So like in Chicago, there's a very big black Ahmadiyyan community. They ex-El Rookins, right? Which is the Black Peace Stones, Jeff Ford, the El Rookins. When they came over to Al-Islam, a lot of them morphed into the Ahmadiyyan community. And the way you could tell them is because they have these red, burgundy type turbans, but they don't wrap them in a circle. They wrap them in a cone like this. Because that still symbolized, the reason why they red, because it still symbolized the fez. Like what the Moors used to wear, because the stones started off as Moorish Americans. Jeff Ford changed them when they became El Rookins. He took them to the form of what they was referring to as Al-Islam. So they became Ahmadiyyans. So anyway, they at this festival and they perform a rap, and I could see a lot of them. They got them cone things on them. That little turban, but like I said, they got it in the form of a cone instead of just round around their head, and it be red. So, you know, they was even there in attendance. They busting a little rap, but you know, and they married some black girl. But like I said, they established the whole community, starting with the masjid in an apartment first, and then as they started to learn their deen, they left the rap alone. They left the streets alone. They even started getting jobs, going to the jails and the prison, giving a dawah. They started a whole community off nothing and not even knowing nobody. And flourished. Some of their Aqidah, like I said, I don't know. It didn't get deep into it, but like I said, I see some Ahmadiyyans around them. But the point is, they established a community and they got themselves together and they stopped rapping. It even showing them going to the jails and the prisons, doing dawah. And some of the Islam that they talking about is accurate. And you know, some people should go check it out, man. But it's called the New Muslim Cool. But the point is, they didn't continue to stay on that. I'm a rapping street Muslim. Once they transformed up out of that and start getting legit and getting married and taking care of their families, they started a whole community in Pittsburgh. Now, because the documentary and this form of dawah was so effective, but like I said, it did have a little music in it because they started off as rappers, a particular group who didn't have the same type of success as them. Oh, they just wanted fame. They wanted to be on TV. They got music. They jahil. They a bunch of ignorant Muslims. But they doing more good than this group. So people started shunning them and not accepting them in the city of Pittsburgh. You know what I'm saying? Ineffective dawah. Instead of adding on to what they was doing. But like I said, these people cleaned themselves up. And there's a lesson to be learned in that. Because we can do the same thing. But then you have some black people looking at stuff that they cleaned up, saying, oh no, this will never work on black people. These Islamic teachings will never work on black people. Stuff that, because they groomed up under the type of sayings from Elijah Muhammad. Which isn't true. You see what I'm saying? That's the stuff that's falling into the societal pressures instead of sticking to what's the genuine needs and aspirations of a Muslim community. That old kufr from the church thing. So I got a note to read. So this is a breakdown from Surah 4, ayat number 14. So I got a side note to read ayat number 118 and 120. We got to learn what Shaytan doing, man. We got to protect ourselves from the Shaytan and have some real growth. Because that's all it is, man. Shaytan is an enemy to us. So look at this. So in 118, where Shaytan says, I surely would take hold of a certain amount of your slaves. I'm not going to get all of them, but I'm going to get some of them. And the ones that I'm going to get, I will certainly mislead them and arouse in them false desires. Now look at what some of it says. And certainly I will order them to slit the ears of a camel, which you see is a big thing where they cutting the ears of a camel and putting tags and stuff in them. Like, this is our cows. They tagging them, right? And indeed, I will order them to change the nature that was created by Allah. They trying to control the rain, the clouds. They trying to control the snow. They're trying to control the fruit. And they trying to control whether a boy, if they don't even, you can't even speak on gender no more. There is no boys. There is no girls. Whatever a person decide they is. I'm LGBT or Q. I'm not a boy, I'm a girl. I identify as a cat. I identify as a dog. Whatever a person identify it, that's whatever they identify with, that's their gender. As little kids. And then they made this stuff legal. And that's why now, that's one thing I give Trump prop for, because Trump done came in and he finna take all that away. All these bathrooms, men can come in the same bathroom as girls, and you know what I'm saying? If this man identifies as a girl, he can come in a woman's bathroom, even if it's a 6-year-old little girl in there using the bathroom. Shaytan said he gonna trick man into being that way. He's gonna change the very nature that Allah created. And everything that Allah created in nature, they changing it. All the way down to the point where Muslims, you have Muslims who go to the grave, put their hands up, and ask for assistance to the one that's in the grave dead, who can't even bring themselves back to life out of the grave. They're going to go pray to the dead people in the grave. But then talk about what Allah can't do. Allah can't do this because I can do it. Allah not able to do this. Allah can't move. Allah can't breathe. Allah can't do this and this and that. Put a million limitations on Allah. But this person who's dead and buried, who couldn't even wrap himself and put himself in the grave, y'all gonna pray to him? See that's changing the nature, the fitra that's in us. It's in us to worship a creator. Shaitan is the one who's going to trick you to worship the created. They don't see that as shirk, because dua isn't worship. But if you say that Allah can move because Allah says he can move, that's shirk. That ain't from Shaitan. So you can see the promises of Shaitan throughout everything when you know how to read your Quran and pay attention to it. That's going to the grave of somebody who you consider to be righteous and making dua for him, to make you like him. That's a false desire. Those is false aspirations. And now, due to y'all society, it's pressure on you to be that exact same thing. It's pressure on y'all to go around and quote and make up all this foolishness. But you don't see nothing wrong with it because you put limitations on Allah. Allah Azza wa Jal is limited. Just like we talk about how we supposed to be opposite of the people who came before us, because a particular group before them used to say things like Allah's hands is tied behind his back. That's a form of putting a limitation on Allah. We supposed to be opposite than them in those type of beliefs. Now you got groups of Muslims who pray to dead people but put limitations on Allah. Shaitan got him, kid. Shaitan got him. What else to say? So, coming into surah number. So just to read the rest of it, ayah number 120. Shaytan makes them false promises and arousing them false desires, and Shaytan promises are nothing but deceptions. So you can see how all ayah number 39 from Surah 15, how all of it's tying together. Let's go to Surah 7, ayah number 16. Alhamdulillah. Surah 7, ayah number 16. Now look at this. Shaitan said, because you have sent me astray. So this is him telling Allah, this is his reason for doing this. Because you misled me, I'm going to mislead them. Because you sent me astray. I didn't choose misguide. Look, I didn't choose to go astray. You misled me. You sent me astray. This is what he's saying to Allah. Surely I will sit and wait against them, mankind, on Siratal Mustaqim, on your straight path. Ayah number 17 from Surah 7. I will attack them from their front, their back, their right, and their left. 4 directions. Front, back, right, left. Now when you go to the tafsirs, it says, and this is another refutation in the Quran against the people who say that Allah isn't above, that the heavens isn't above, and all this weird stuff, and you on the bottom of the earth, and all this weird, stupid stuff that they come up with. This is another refutation towards them that comes from the Quran. So it says the reason why Shaitan can't attack them from the top, because Allah is above us, and the mercy descends, Allah's mercy descends from above. Whether they want to call them metaphors, whether they want to call them this and that. But when you know how these attacks go, we might as well say Shaitan attacking us is just a metaphor for we shouldn't do things from the front or back or right. That's foolishness. Anything Shaitan talk about isn't a metaphor. But anything that Allah says he could do or what he got going on, that's a metaphor. That's batil. All the way to the point, because all these Qurans, everything in the Quran go against what y'all say. Now, translations of the Quran is a bid'ah. So you need to stay away from translations, talking about the scholars never approved this, the scholars didn't want translations, when, in fact, a lot of the translations is done by scholars under the supervisions of scholars, and then the ones who wasn't, like a Yusuf Ali, the scholars came and got them and cleaned them up. Or the other ones who wasn't done like that, they completely pulled them where you can't even buy them no more. But now y'all got to tear the Quran down. Y'all got to tear the books down because y'all wrong. Y'all don't see Shaitan in this? So that's why Shaitan can't attack us from above. Allah's above. And this isn't my saying. When you go to the tafsirs and look at the Salaf as-Salih and their statements and what's said about it, and the hadiths and the Quran ayats that prove this, then you will see this is how they understood it. So he attacked from the front, the back, the right, the left, and then you will find, and this is what he said, and then you will find most of them ungrateful, not dutiful. They're not going to be able to perform their duties as a Muslim. They're not going to practice real Islam. They're going to practice a black version, a Pakistani version, an Asian version, a Spanish version, an Arab version. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to call to Bani Adam. They still going to have the traces of Jahiliyyah and be tribal. This is the black way. Even to the point where they started to say that the Quran is interpreted by your race. Black people supposed to understand it a certain way. Asian people supposed to understand it a certain way. White people supposed to understand it a certain way. And these is things I heard from them with my own ears, from imams that was sent here personally by Imam Wardeen Muhammad. And now they still teaching little traces of that, but just cleaning it up a little bit, where you get that understanding where you practice that way, but they just switched up the wording. That's Shaytan. So you can see all these attacks. We can't even be dutiful. We're not even really grateful that Allah sent a prophet and a messenger to show us how to get back into the place that Shaytan got us kicked out of by tricking Adam and Hua. When you look at the Quran ayahs and they tied to some of these verses, where Allah Azza wa Jal said, y'all get out of here. Y'all get out of paradise. Y'all sent to earth. But when my guidance comes, when I send the guidance to get you so you can get back in here when you pass away, then take the guidance. A lot of us on the guidance of Shaytan. Why? Because he made the path that goes against Sirat al-Mustaqim more beautiful and more attractive. We Muslim dope dealers, gang bangers, fornicators, intoxicant users. You know what I'm saying? We butt naked but clothed, big fat eyelashes, makeups, dangling earrings, and then we say, well, what's wrong with all of that? It's just perfectly fine. It's just society. It's a societal norm to dress this way. See, to not dress this way because y'all not used to the modern society. Y'all just acting like people who want to ride around on camels in deserts. And that's batil, man. So, from the front, Shaytan attacking us from the front means he's going to raise doubts in them concerning their hereafter. Once you look at a lot of the kuffar and some of the Muslims, right? Just like the Nation of Islam, heaven and hell is conditions on earth. And when you die in the grave, you just dead. Heaven and hell not real places. So the version of Islam, even when they transitioned and changed the name but kept the teachings, heaven and hell ain't a place that you go to when you die. It's things that you achieve on this earth. So they teaching you how to deen for those things. Some of the people, like with the Kafirs and some of the Muslims, believe when you die and you're a baby, you automatically go to heaven as soon as you die. Everybody in a better place now. You die and become angels, and we gonna put you on an obituary. All in, like I done seen where they had advertisement for like Muslims, and it had a janazah, and instead of just the announcement, they had like a picture of them, and it'll still look like the sky. They just don't have the wings on it. They had like a kufi, and then you'll see like a faded picture of them, just like kind of orbiting, and then you can see like a little clouds or something. Then it'll have janazah on this day. The same thing as the kuffar doing, because they going to the same funeral homes. And they're doing the same type of obituaries. It's just a little different, but the fonts, the thing on the front is similar. They just not putting no wings on them or no ring around their head. But you can still see little clouds and different things in the background. Everybody going to Jannah as soon as you die. We all become guardian angels to our kids, to whoever we love that's still alive. We the one watching over them. You got some doubts concerning the hereafter. So that's how Shaytan attacks from the front. Right? From the back, it means making them more eager for this life. I'm going to put the deen on the back burner and go get this money so I can get this car and this jewelry, and everybody be impressed with it. I'm going to be the man I'm going to be the woman. I don't need no husband. My kids don't need no father. All I need is some degrees and some fake hair and a fake butt and some fake breasts and lip injections and eyelashes this big. And then I'm going to be the person. I don't need that system that Allah set for me. All I need is this life, which even with that, you got to have some doubts about the hereafter, because where do you think that stuff was going to lead to? That stuff don't even fit into what? The true values that we have as a Muslim. And it still doesn't lead to genuine happiness. They crying themselves to sleep just like everybody else. Right? So, and then it's the pressures of society, because that stuff is starting to become a norm. It's a misperception and it's an illusion, because they still never get what they think that they was chasing. From the right means causing them confusion in the religion. Y'all don't think teaching that an interpretation of the Quran, a translation of the Quran to English or another language is a bid'ah, so you should stay away from it? Y'all don't think that caused confusion? Y'all don't think this masjid where they over there on a hawk and they taking care of their people, but because they don't call themselves Salafi, that's a masjid of bid'ah, so you need to stay away from it? That person is a doctor, he got a PhD in his fields of Islamic Studies, and because he taught them at that masjid is a masjid of bid'ah, so you need to stay away from it? Y'all don't think that caused confusion in a religion? Huh? Y'all don't think these individuals, how can you practice a religion by a person who actually had to have slaves? That's never going to be pardoned. We never going to like that. Just like one of them going to come tell me today in my comments, I went ahead and left them up. I'm waiting for them to answer. Going to tell me to repent because Yahweh loves me. And then they put Yahweh like that's Jesus. Yahweh loves you. So Yahweh still alive? And I'm not saying this in a disrespectful manner. Yahweh still alive to love me? But I should have an issue with a religion because a person so-called has slaves, which they was more like a form of a butler and a maid. Okay? It was more like a butler and a maid. The terminology is what they used to have them. Somebody who you hire to come clean up your house and wash your dishes and to cook, like a nanny, who was more along the lines of a nanny. I should have an issue with that, but I should choose to be against. But I should choose the book that to say I'm a Hebrew that teaches me I'm supposed to be a good slave. I'm supposed to love slavery because Yahweh suffered and I need to suffer too. So I'm supposed to choose something and pick up a book that tell me I'm supposed to be a good slave, but have a problem with somebody who had servants. Sounds stupid, don't it? That stuff don't cause... See how much confusion they have in their religion? Because they all chasing something black. Like the Creator is a racist. It make it clear to us what set you with a particular level with the Creator is your deeds and how you carry yourself. It don't matter if you're a man, woman, child, black, white, yellow, red, orange, green, alien, monkey, dog, cat, whatever. That stuff caused confusion in the religion, man. Y'all see the attacks of Shaytan yet? Number 4. So this the front, this the back, this the right, and from the left means luring them to commit sins. Like I said, why do they have to get you to commit sins? Because once you start to be disobedient, you taking your foot off Sirato Mustaqim. And then the door is, you fair game for Shaitan after that. Now, we gonna make mistakes. We gonna commit sins. That's why Allah gave us the remedy for that, because we not perfect. What's the remedy for it? Follow up bad deeds with good deeds. Follow up bad thoughts with good thoughts. Make your salats. Make tawbah. Seek istighfar. Say astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. But Shaitan trick us up out of those things, right? And like it says, in committing sins, this is meant to cover all paths of good and evil. Shaitan discourages the people from the path of good and lures them to the path of evil and wrongdoing. So as a part of the purifying ourselves, right? One, we need to get what we discussed yesterday. Those things that we fall into from the belief system and these other things from before us that we still have in us, that we not cleaning up, and we chasing this worldly life instead of the hereafter. We need to start to get that stuff out of us and start purifying ourselves by what? Staying away from what Allah prohibited and running to what Allah commanded. Once you get on that, you have to treat Shaitan like an enemy. And one figure out is these desires, if they sincere desires or false desires. Because you can end up in a bad marriage or relationship. Like Muslim sisters, right? Like, and I'm saying from some who I've been a wakil for. Dealing with this particular group is still like the bad guys. We want the bad guys, you know what I'm saying? The street guy. We want the tough guys. But then you want to complain when they treat you bad. Oh, this marriage. Oh, he's doing this. Oh, he's doing that. But you chose a person with those type of characteristics. Yeah, but he's supposed to do that to other people, not me. See, Shaitan done aroused in you some false desires. Brother, sister been conniving, using men in survival mode her whole life. All the signs is there. But you want that street type of girl because you think she gonna be super freaky in the bed or something. She gonna be down for whatever. She ain't gonna say nothing if you smoking a little weed. She ain't gonna be like, oh no, your dean ain't together. She ain't gonna say nothing if you popping pills and all this other type of stuff, right? Because she's cut from that cloth. But then when she using you, stealing your money and cheating on you, her rent ain't number $35 and got you giving her $700. Now you want to complain. Because see, Shaitan done aroused in you some false desires. Done tricked you and turned you into a babysitter for her kids so she can still run the streets. Leave the house in the hijab and then hit the club with it off. Yeah. These real realities. Because you done let Shaitan arouse a false desire in you and you chose something that go against your true values. And I'm telling you, man, I sit up and watch Muslims, they out here chasing it, man. They out here chasing it. And then when they get it, they want to pout about it. Just like I said with these particular brothers, well, real Islam isn't going to save that. That's Arab stuff. It ain't going to fix black people. So we need to figure out a way for us black people to stay exactly the same and call ourselves Muslims, but want to complain about how we not changing. Oh, these Arabs, they got the masjid, they doing this, they want to control what we this and that. But then you don't want to do nothing, you don't want to educate yourself, you don't want to do nothing, but you want to run to them with all the questions that they can't even answer. This Shaitan, man. This Shaitan. And like I'm speaking on some people who started off street Muslims, rappers, but rapping about Islamic topics and changing their life, feeling like they got a message in it. They leave from one city, go to a whole nother city, not established a building, they established a community, starting in an apartment. See, they got it out the mud. See, we want to whine and pout and do nothing. And see, that's no disrespect. So I'm not saying this for Muslims, and I don't want to seem like I'm saying something about black women. But see, even for me listening to some of them be like, I don't want you to solve the problem. I just want you to listen to me complain. I just need somebody to listen to me vent. Don't give me no solution. Don't try to fix me. I just want to vent. And due to us having mothers like that, aunties like that, grandmothers like that, we don't want to solve no problems. We just want to cry. We want to cry about the masjid. We want to cry about the conditions of the hood. But at the same time, we want it to remain the same just so that we could keep having something to say about it. Like I said, you got problem solvers, and then you got people who just want to argue and pout. Some of us just do. And then at the same time, like I say, I sit around and listen to all that crying and all that pouting and everything that they crying and pouting about. I done had it myself alone. Real talk. And I usually just speak on this city. I had it before this city. It just looked a little different. But I'm talking about since like 2003, 2004. You know what I'm saying? I done had it my own self. The lessons, the masjid, whether it was a bedroom that 10, 15 people could get in. But like I said, through the dawah, I done seen people establish this stuff and grow into whole communities. I've been listening to these people crying and complaining in this area since 2006. In one more year, that's going to be 20 years. And ain't did nothing but fell off deen. And then the one time when I do step in where somebody asks something and say, look, this whole, man, let's just use the back of the thing to turn it to the masjid. They brought the corruption in. Couldn't even keep it thorough for 3 months. But they still want to whine and complain and connive. If I could do it by myself, we could do it as a community. We just want to whine and pout, man. So don't let Shaytan fool you, man. And when you look at more of the tafsirs, as long as Shaytan can get you to not worship Allah alone, not have that sincerity towards Allah, and arouse false desires in you, and how you chasing money, chasing status, chasing everything but Jannah. You gotta know your enemy, man. You gotta know your enemy. But anyway, man, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.